A $1 liquid sitting in your kitchen right now that kills leaf miners dead. The tiny larvae that tunnel through your plant leaves and leave those ugly white squiggly lines behind, it costs around $1. It needs no protective gear to apply. It does not harm your bees, your soil, or your family. And the companies selling you $20 pesticide sprays for the exact same problem have known about it the entire time. Look at almost any plant in a garden that has been through a full season, and you will find the evidence. A white or pale yellow line, thin as a thread, winding across the surface of a leaf in long looping curves. Sometimes the lines cross. Sometimes they widen into pale blotches where the tunneling spread out. The leaf around them looks otherwise healthy, green, intact, normal. But that winding line is a record of something that happened inside the leaf. In the space between the upper and lower surface, where something very small has been eating its way through the tissue while completely hidden from view. That something is a leaf miner larva, and understanding exactly what it is and how it works is the key to understanding why the $20 spray bottle rarely solves the problem, and why the $1 liquid in your kitchen does. Leaf miners are not a single insect. The name covers the larvae of several different types of flying insects, certain flies, moths, sawflies, and beetles, that all share the same strategy for raising their young. The adult insect finds a suitable plant leaf and lays its eggs on the underside, often in tiny clusters, invisible to the naked eye. When the eggs hatch, the larvae do not sit on the surface of the leaf where a predator could find them or where a spray could reach them. They do something far more clever. They push directly into the leaf tissue itself, burrowing between the upper and lower surfaces of the leaf, and they begin feeding from the inside. The tunnel they create as they eat is exactly what you see when you find those winding white lines. The larva is in there moving forward, eating, growing, completely enclosed in the leaf, protected on all sides by the plant tissue itself. Think about how effective that strategy is from the larva's point of view. It is born inside its food supply. The leaf tissue surrounds it on all sides, providing everything it needs to grow. No bird can easily peck it out. No ground-level predator can reach it. Rain does not wash it away, and a spray applied to the surface of the leaf lands on the outside of its shelter, not on the larva itself. The leaf miner larva is one of the most well-protected pest insects in any garden, not because it is large or fast or aggressive, but because it chose the inside of a leaf as its home. That choice is simple, ancient, and remarkably hard to counter with the tools most gardeners reach for first. This is why the standard pesticide spray so often fails to clear a leaf miner infestation. And it is something the companies selling those sprays have never had any particular interest in explaining clearly. A contact pesticide works by touching the pest. The chemical lands on the insect and kills it. But if the insect is living inside a leaf, a spray applied to the surface of that leaf cannot reach it. The larva is behind a barrier of plant tissue. The spray hits the leaf. The larva tunnels on. You come back a week later, see more lines, buy more spray, apply it again. The larva is still behind its barrier. You have not failed as a gardener. The product you were sold was never going to solve the problem it was marketed to solve. Because the pest it was sold to kill lives where the product cannot reach it. Stay with me, because here is where the $1 liquid changes everything. The liquid is vegetable oil, plain cooking oil, the bottle you already have in your kitchen, and the reason it works where the contact spray fails comes down to one simple fact about how insects breathe. Insects do not breathe through their mouths. They breathe through tiny openings along the sides of their bodies called spiracles. These openings draw in air and allow the insect to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide. They are extremely small, but they are critical. Block them, and the insect suffocates. And here is the property of oil that makes it lethal to leaf miner larvae specifically. Oil is thin enough to flow into tight spaces. It is viscous enough to coat surfaces and stay there. And when it covers the spiracles of an insect, it seals them shut. The larva cannot breathe. It suffocates inside the tunnel it made. But how does the oil reach the larva inside the leaf if the spray cannot? Because oil does not need to penetrate the leaf tissue in the way a water-based spray does. When you apply an oil spray to a leaf and coat both surfaces thoroughly, the oil seeps into the micro-openings and pores of the leaf surface. It reaches the leaf miner through the same passages the larva uses to exchange air with the outside world. The larva needs air. The oil finds the path air uses, and that path leads directly to the larva, regardless of how deeply it has tunneled. This is not folk remedy logic. It is basic insect physiology applied to a specific situation. Researchers and organic farming consultants have documented this mechanism. Planet Natural, one of the most well-established resources for organic pest management, notes that many people report successful leaf miner control using vegetable oil spray, explaining that the oil covers the larvae and prevents oxygen from being absorbed through their skin. The larva suffocates and dies inside the tunnel. No synthetic chemistry required. No protective equipment, no warning label, just cooking oil applied to both sides of a leaf, doing the exact job that costs $20 to do badly with a contact spray. The recipe is simple. 2 cups of plain vegetable oil mixed with 2 tablespoons of liquid dish soap, shaken well, then diluted in water before spraying. Roughly 2 tablespoons of the oil and soap mixture per quart of water. The dish soap serves a specific purpose. Oil and water do not naturally mix. Without the soap as an emulsifier, the oil would float in droplets on the surface of the water rather than dispersing evenly. The soap breaks the oil into tiny particles that stay suspended in the water. So when you spray it on the leaf, it coats the surface evenly rather than beating up and running off. Shake the bottle well before every application, because the mixture will begin to separate as it sits. Spray both sides of every affected leaf. The underside matters just as much as the top, because that is where the adult insects lay their eggs and where the youngest larvae first enter the leaf. A thorough coating on both surfaces is the difference between this working and not working. Apply in the early morning or late evening, never in direct midday sun. Oil on a leaf in strong sunlight can concentrate the heat and cause burn damage to the plant tissue. Not harmful to the insect, harmful to your plant. Morning and evening applications let the oil do its job before the heat of the day arrives. You may not see the results immediately. The larvae inside the leaves do not die the instant the oil is applied. They suffocate over the course of a day or two as the oil blocks their breathing. The visible sign that it is working is that the white lines stop extending. A live larva is a moving larva. The line gets longer as it eats. When the line stops growing, the larva is dead. Give it 2 to 3 days and check your leaves. In most cases of moderate infestation, a single thorough application is enough to stop the active larvae. In heavy infestations, a second application a week later handles any larvae that were missed or any new eggs that hatched in the interval. One honest note, because real knowledge always comes with its limits. The oil method works on the larvae currently inside the leaves. It does not prevent new eggs from being laid by the adult insects that will continue to visit your garden throughout the growing season. The adult leaf miner flies and moths are small, fast, and hard to catch. They will keep laying eggs on your plants as long as conditions are favorable. So this is not a one-time fix that ends the problem forever. It is a management tool that you apply whenever you see new lines appearing. Some gardeners find that applying a light preventive coat of diluted oil spray to vulnerable plants every 2 weeks through the peak of the growing season keeps infestations from building up in the first place. Prevention is easier than treatment because it catches eggs and very young larvae before they have burrowed deeply into the leaf tissue. But whether you use it preventively or reactively, the approach is the same. Light coat on both sides of the leaves, morning or evening, and check back in a few days. A few plants to know about. Certain vegetables are particularly attractive to leaf miners and are worth monitoring closely. Spinach, beet greens, chard, and other members of the beet family are among the most heavily targeted. Tomatoes, peppers, and citrus trees are also common hosts. If you grow any of these, checking the undersides of your leaves regularly during warm months is the fastest way to catch an infestation early, before the larvae have had time to spread and before you are dealing with dozens of damaged leaves at once. And if you have yellow sticky traps hanging in your garden, the kind used to monitor and catch fungus gnats and other small flying insects, they will also catch adult leaf miner flies, which helps you know when adult populations are high and new egg laying is likely. Seeing adult leaf miners on your traps is a useful signal to do a preventive oil application on your most vulnerable plants. Now here is where it reaches you directly. The garden center sells a product for leaf miners. It has a label with warning symbols. It says to wear gloves during application, avoid contact with skin and eyes, keep children and pets away from treated areas until the spray has dried. It costs between $15 and $25 depending on the brand. It is a contact pesticide, which means it works by touching insects directly. And as you now understand, the leaf miner larvae you are trying to kill live inside your leaves, behind a barrier of plant tissue where a contact spray cannot reach them. You have been sold a product that cannot solve the problem it is sold to solve. Meanwhile, the vegetable oil you already own costs under $2 for a bottle that will treat your entire garden multiple times over. It contains no synthetic chemical compounds. It requires no protective equipment to handle. It is safe to use on vegetables you plan to eat because it is, literally, food oil. It does not harm bees because bees interact with flowers and nectar, not with the leaf surfaces where you are applying the spray. It does not persist in the soil. It does not build up in the food chain. It breaks down naturally because it is a natural substance. Here is what should make you angry. The pest control companies are not confused about leaf miners. Their scientists understand insect biology. They know that contact pesticides have limited effectiveness against larvae that live inside leaf tissue. They know that oil-based treatments can suffocate those larvae by blocking their spiracles. This information is not hidden in some classified laboratory report. It is in publicly available organic farming resources, university extension publications, and peer-reviewed entomology literature. The people who formulate the products on the garden store shelf went to the same universities that published that research. But here is the economic reality that drives what gets sold and what gets ignored. A bottle of proprietary synthetic pesticide can be patented. The company that developed it owns the formula. No competitor can make the same product. That exclusivity lets them set the price, control the market, and generate the kind of margin that funds advertising, shelf placement deals with major retailers, and the brand recognition that makes you reach for that bottle when you see the first squiggly line on a leaf. A solution based on vegetable oil cannot be patented. Anyone can make it. There is no formula to own, no exclusivity to exploit, no margin to extract. A gardener who learns the oil method stops buying the spray bottle. That is a lost customer, repeated across millions of gardens, season after season. And the math on that loss is why the oil method never appears in the garden center's promotional material. The product is not sold to you because it solves your problem efficiently. It is sold to you because it creates a repeat purchase. Leaf miners that survive a contact spray come back. New eggs hatch on the same plants. A new generation tunnels into new leaves. You come back to the store for another bottle, season after season, year after year. That is not a side effect of the business model. That is the business model. And the evidence that this is a deliberate information gap rather than an innocent oversight is sitting right there in the organic farming community. Gardeners who work within the organic certification system, who cannot legally use synthetic pesticides, have been using oil-based solutions for decades. The information exists. It circulates freely in organic growing communities. University agricultural extension programs include it in their fact sheets. The only place it reliably does not appear is on the shelf of a conventional garden center, next to the synthetic sprays in plain language that would let you make a real comparison between what you are being sold and what actually works. And there is one more thing worth knowing. Neem oil, which you have likely seen at the garden center, is another option that works through a different mechanism and is worth understanding. Neem oil contains a compound called azadirachtin that disrupts the hormonal system of insect larvae. When a leaf miner larva eats leaf tissue that has absorbed neem oil, the compound interferes with its ability to develop, molt, and mature. The larva stops feeding and eventually dies without completing its life cycle. Unlike the vegetable oil method, which acts physically by blocking the spiracles, neem oil acts biologically by disrupting the insect's development. Both methods reach the larva inside the leaf. Both avoid synthetic chemistry. Both are safe for bees when applied correctly to leaves and stems rather than open flowers. In the morning or evening when bees are not active on the plant, neem oil costs somewhat more than vegetable oil, typically around $8 to $12 for a bottle that will last multiple seasons when diluted correctly. For serious or persistent infestations, alternating between a vegetable oil application and a neem oil application every week gives you two different mechanisms working on the same population of larvae, which reduces the chance of any individual surviving both treatments. Here is the whole method. From start to finish, walk to your kitchen right now. Take out the vegetable oil. Mix 2 cups of oil with 2 tablespoons of dish soap and shake it until it is combined. This is your concentrate. Store it in a jar or container. When you are ready to spray, dilute 2 tablespoons of the concentrate into a quart of water, shake well, and pour into a spray bottle. Go to your garden in the early morning or the evening. Spray every single affected leaf on both the top and the bottom surfaces until the leaf has a light, even coat of oil on it. Do not let the spray pool or run heavily. A light coat is enough. Check the leaves again in 2 to 3 days. If the squiggly lines have stopped extending, the larvae are dead. If new lines have appeared, you have a new hatch of eggs. Apply again. Repeat weekly until the lines stop appearing entirely. Test on one leaf first if you are concerned about your plant. Some plants are more sensitive to oil applications than others, and applying a small amount to an inconspicuous leaf and waiting 24 hours before treating the whole plant takes 15 seconds and saves you from accidentally burning a sensitive plant in hot weather. That is everything you need. A $1 solution to a problem the garden industry has been selling you a $20 fix for, season after season, under the assumption that you would never know the difference. You do now. The squiggly lines will still appear next season. Leaf miners lay eggs every single year, and they will find your plants the way they always have. But the next time you see those lines, you will not reach for the $20 bottle. You will reach for the kitchen cabinet. And the larvae tunneling through your leaves will find out exactly why that matters. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every like and every share preserves what they tried to erase. The next vault opens soon.